What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about creating an epic life on your terms. And today we're talking about the 6 gut instinct you should never avoid, because guess what? Your instincts, your gut instinct talks to you every single day and we just don't listen to it. We hear it all the time. It says hello, it says listen to me, change something about your life. But what do? We keep on doing our negative habits that keep us stuck where we're at. If you're really complacent with your life, if you're happy how everything's going, this video is not for you. But if you want to change something, if you know there's more potential to your life and your gut instincts can help you with this, then stick around because I'm going to share with you the 6 gut instincts never to avoid that will change your life forever. Before we get started, if you want to know more about the concept of living an epic life on your terms, then definitely check out the webinar on this topic. And if you want to work with me privately and figure out and tackle the things that are going on in your life that are keeping you stuck where you're at, then definitely check out my link on one-on-one coaching. You find both of them below. Gut instinct number 1. Anger. Anger is really something we should listen to. I'm never going to be a friend of denying anger, and I'm also not going to be a friend of indulging in anger, specifically when we talk about the kind of anger that doesn't really change anything about your situation. See, anger is our body telling us that something is out of our control, and that is amazing information that we can use, because you can actually use the locus of control to change your life in the best way possible. So what I'm talking about is that you actually look at the things that are causing you anger. Is it something that you can really change? So for example, let's say you always get angry at your spouse because they yell at you or they nag you or because they're not pulling their weight. Whatever it is, if it's something that really bugs you so much, then you can do something about it, because this is in your control. This is something you can talk about. And if you figure out that your partner won't change, then it's time for you to say, oh, okay, either I'm gonna accept this or I'm gonna change something about the situation. I'm gonna remove myself from the situation. This should really be the last draw, but you can do so much to really express that anger in a positive way and experience it and make it change who you are. Anger is really there to guide you. And the great thing is, if you look at the locus of control, you can really figure out what to focus on. So what is outside of our locus of control? It's the weather, it's traffic, it's how politics are working on a big scale when you're not involved in politics. If you're actively doing something to improve the situation you're in, great. But if you're not, then this anger represents something else. If you're getting angry about traffic jams every morning, then you gotta ask yourself, why am I getting angry? Why do I feel so out of control here? You do feel out of control in that situation because you're not taking control of those things that you can change. So let's say you don't want to change your job. You don't want to get in a situation where you don't have to drive and look at traffic. Then it's time to ask yourself, what is my gut instinct telling me? And it's telling me that I'm trying to express anger for a lack of control of my overall life. What is going on in my life that I'm not taking control of? Is it that I'm complacent with what I want to achieve? Is it that I said, okay, this is enough and there's not more I can experience or value in my life, so I'm lashing out in situations that should never have an effect on me? You can, for example, use your time in the car differently. You can say, oh, that's the time I'm going to call my friends. You can say, this is the time I'm actually going to start listening to audiobooks I always wanted to listen to. There's always a different way of approaching things. So either change it or you change the way you think about it. But anger is really a guidance system. So always remember, anger is there to show you what you're not feeling in control of. And if it's something that's outside of your locus of control, like for example, the weather or traffic, then it's on you to say, oh, I'm either gonna change my approach towards the situation, or I need to take control in other things of my life so I actually feel good and this little thing doesn't bother me. You know, when people get into really negative habits, let's say like eating disorder, it barely has anything to do with food. It's a control issue. It's a place where you feel I can take control of my life because the rest of my life feels completely out of control with me. And we do this with so many things. And we do that because we don't listen to our gut instinct, which tells us there's something that is not in your control. What are you gonna do to change that? Gut instinct number 2, boredom. So this one is not that obvious, but it's just as important. So if you're somebody who comes home and maybe even on weekends, all you do is just sit around and watch TV, and all the other time you just don't know what to do with yourself, and you just try to do things that take your mind away from the fact that you're just bored with your life. If this is something, then your gut instinct is really telling you to look somewhere else. And the main thing when it comes to boredom is connection. When we feel bored, more often than not, it's because we actually see ourselves as a separate being to everything else. The thing you can do that will help you to overcome this is to start seeing yourself as part of a group, which you are. You can see yourself as part of society. You can see yourself as part of evolution. You can see yourself as part of your community. It does not matter. But there's so many people out there who would love to have your attention. There's so many people out there who would love to have you as part of their team, because then you can actually show up and your gifts can really improve not only your life, but also the life of others. Once you start focusing on improving other people's lives, of being there and being of service, this boredom really goes away. Because you know what happens once you start actually acting out of service, once you have a vocation and you share your gift with the world, what happens is that you start getting excited because you get a positive benefit out of it. It makes you feel good in the moment. This is something that will remove boredom forever, because boredom really happens when you feel like, oh, I have to stay in my little box and I've done everything I can within this box. Whatever I do, it's not gonna make me improve my happiness. It's not gonna make me feel more abundant. And what do? We stay within this box. It's like saying there's this amazing world out there, but I'm just gonna stay in my little room and I'll do anything I can to make my life better within this room, but in the end, it stays your room. That's all you have. But the moment you start actually expanding yourself by connecting with others, by seeing yourself as not a sole entity, but as a part of something bigger, that's when boredom really vanishes. So really listen to this, because it helps you so much to expand your horizon and feel more alive immediately. Gut instinct number 3, fear. See, fear is something different than danger. Danger is a really real thing, and it's good that we feel afraid when danger is approaching. That is not something we want you to stop. I still think it's right to look left and right before you cross the street, because it can be dangerous. You can get hit. It's good to be afraid of walking outside at night when you don't know what's out there. This is real danger and should not be neglected. But fear is a different story. See, fear is supposed to keep us safe. So back in the day, it was good when you were afraid, because that made sure that you see that tiger coming over there that's gonna eat you. You know, those are real things. But nowadays, what are we really afraid of? We're afraid of humiliation. We're afraid of abandonment. We're afraid of judgment. And a lot of those things are just keeping us in our comfort zone. See, don't get me wrong. Social inclusion is a very important need, and we really need that as part of our psyche, to be part of a community. So it's normal that you feel people are gonna judge you if you try to step out of your comfort zone. But that doesn't mean that it should hinder you in doing the next step. Because in many ways, you'll see that people will not abandon you just because you try out something new. Maybe there are gonna be some people who hate on you, but it's not really gonna change your life. And in a lot of ways, fear is actually keeping us from approaching things that could change our life for the better. So if you feel fear, instead of actually hiding out and backing off and saying, okay, this is as far as I go, rather see it as a great way of your gut instinct telling you this is a way for you to get out of your comfort zone. Because once you do, you're not going to be afraid of that anymore. So make sure it's not something really dangerous, but when you really rationally think about it and there's nothing really to be afraid of, then go for it. Step out of your comfort zone, try out new things, because every time you expand your horizon, you're expanding your capacity of abundance. And with that, you're also inspiring others to do the same. Gut instinct number 4. Feeling lonely. So when you feel lonely, we always feel that nobody understands us, that we're completely alone in the world. But that is just not the case. And I personally have gone through this. I know what I'm talking about here, because for me, it really felt there's absolutely nobody who will ever understand me. So I know that feeling, and I know how isolated it can feel. And sometimes we feel we should even isolate more, because every time we step out in the world, people are judging us, people are not accepting us, and they're just making us feel bad. So why even try? But the thing is this, the only reason why we feel lonely is because we're not standing in our truth, because we don't show up exactly how we are. Because if you have two scenarios, and the one is where you're completely not yourself, what do? You surround yourself subconsciously with people and situations which mirror back to you that you're alone, which mirror back to you that you're different. And of course, that makes you feel even more lonely and will make you want to isolate even more. But that is the vicious circle that we have to get out of. We have to first off understand that if I personally feel I'm different, I'm gonna surround myself with people who mirror that back to me. So if I want to feel like I'm normal, it's not that you have to adapt to what the people in your current environment feel is normal. You actually have to show up more as the person that you are, as the person that the people around you will judge, will feel like you're different and weird. But you know what happens? Once you're so certain of, I'm gonna show up like this, you don't question yourself anymore. anymore because this is who you are. There is no denying it. Why be loved and liked for something that you're not? That is just as bad as being there, showing up exactly who you are, and for people openly judging you. And now comes the twist. You know what's gonna happen once you stand in your truth? The people who have no connection with you, who really feel like you're different, they're not gonna care about you anymore because you're not there to have any kind of conversation with them about this topic. You know who you are, and you start developing your life in a way where you start hanging out with people who are more like-minded. You actually show up and start helping people who have had similar problems like you. You actually go out and look for groups that want to talk about the things you want to talk about. I can guarantee you, I really felt there is nobody like me. I'm completely alone on this earth. And as you know, now I probably feel a little different, but it didn't happen because the people around me started accepting myself. I actually left all of them behind. And I'm pretty sure if they would look at my life, they would still think I'm weird. But I personally, there's no way I would feel different because the people and situations I surround myself with, they're actually like me. They're mirroring back to me that I'm just the way I should be, which is myself. And that version of me is happy, successful, and full of abundance. So you have to be the one who takes that step before you're ready. You have to step out and say, even though people judge me, which is gonna happen in the initial situation, I'm gonna stand here and I'm not gonna budge because there's no reason for me to be loved for somebody I'm not. So if you have that gut feeling of loneliness, it's not because you're different or weird or flawed. It's because you're not standing in your own truth and allow your environment to develop in a way that mirrors back to you that you're just the way you're supposed to be. And then we get to gut instinct number 5, which is rather similar, and that is the feeling of unworthiness, feeling flawed, or feeling like we're not good enough. So many of us suffer from this, but this is really something you can tackle so easily. So this is the core of so many of our problems, and this is the core why we sabotage ourselves, why we're not being happy, and why we're not following our joy. But what we can do is practice self-love, and it can start really easily if you understand the concept that we can only improve what we already have. So if you want to feel more self-love, it's not gonna help that you just look at all the things you don't like and then you say, oh, I'm liking them now. No, it actually works that you really focus on what you already like about yourself, and that way you improve on that. You start to feel that even more. You lean into that feeling because this is gonna lead you to the truth. This is gonna lead you to self-love. So if there's so many things you think are wrong with you, but you really like how kind you are or how smart you are, then really lean into this. Start liking yourself more of this. Really put more of your preference on those things. Keep doing things that make you feel even kinder, that make you feel even smarter, because that way you start amplifying self-love. There are also so many great meditations you can do on self-love, but this thing will change your life forever. And your gut instinct is guiding you towards that all the time. So if you feel like you're not good enough to go on that interview, or you're not good enough to start writing, then it's not because there's something fundamentally flawed within you. We all have those kind of fears, but it's because we actually make that mean something about us. When you really love yourself, you know that you're gonna suck at the first interview. You know that you're gonna have questions that you're not gonna be able to answer because you've never been in the situation before. But that doesn't make you feel flawed. It just makes you feel that there's a skill, there's some kind of knowledge you just haven't acquired yet, and that's okay. But you can only face those things, learn from them, and get better if you know that you love yourself and that this doesn't reflect back to you that you're flawed in any way. So start practicing self-love. Focus on the things you already like about yourself, and if you dislike almost everything, then look at the things you're most neutral about and really start amplifying that. You can really change your entire relationship with yourself if you really focus on this. So don't neglect this. Listen to your gut feeling. It really is there to show you another way. And then we get to gut instinct number 6, which is to feel numb. And this is quite counterintuitive if you think about it. Oh, okay, so I'm not feeling anything, and that's a gut feeling that's supposed to tell me something. Yes, exactly. If you're a person who doesn't ever get angry about anything, who doesn't get too excited, who doesn't cry, or doesn't get any kind of emotions flowing within you, then you know that it's because we're disconnected from our feelings. And I used to be like this. There were so many times I was repressing anger so much I didn't want to express it because throughout my childhood I've been taught that my anger, my strength was not something that people wanted. So what did I do? I put all of that away. I actually actually numbed myself out. I only started focusing on what other people were feeling. I started focusing on what they want, but I completely silenced my own emotions. But those emotions, those gut feelings and gut instincts are the things that are gonna tell us and show us where to go. So if you numb this thing out, you really lose your guiding system, and then you feel completely out of alignment because you don't know what feels wrong, but you definitely know that you're not where you're supposed to be. So how are we gonna tackle this? Well, there are a couple of approaches. The one thing that you can definitely start with is to just practice having a preference. So imagine you always go with your friend to the movies, and every time you're there, you really don't care what you're watching. It's just that your friend always cares. They care, so all you do is just say whatever you want to watch because you really don't care. So I'm using this mundane example because it matters so much. It barely is that you have this with movies, but you're all good and you know exactly what you want when it comes to where you want to eat, what you want to do with your life, where you want to spend your next holiday at. If you know everything, then you just make compromises in those areas where the other person really wants to have what they want, but you're still aware of what you want. See the difference? In the first example, we don't know what we want. In the second example, we know exactly what we want in all situations because we're aware of our own feelings, but we choose to compromise because the person we're with really has a stronger preference in this area. See, this is something where we want to get to. So next time when you go to the movies and you say, well, I really don't care what I watch, then tell yourself, well, I know I don't care, but if I cared, what would I choose? And then apply this to all areas of your life. If you're like, well, I don't know what I want to buy for breakfast, but if I had to choose, what would it be? And you continue this process. That way, you slowly but gradually really teach yourself to start listening to your own feelings, because all that has happened is that you have just put down the volume and you can't hear yourself. Start listening to yourself and you'll see how those things will become more obvious to you. They'll be easier to hear in the future, and you won't have to ask yourself those questions over and over again. It will come up in your mind like that. And you'll see how you start feeling your own emotions more and more, and you can express them in areas that make sense even more. In a lot of ways, numbness is connected to anger, because all of the times that we were forcing ourselves and others have forced us as kids or in our younger age to numb ourselves out, that is anger that is unexpressed, and it really comes out in passive aggressive ways, and you can't really tackle it. In that case, start listening to music that brings out your anger. Find a way to express that. Go and start boxing. Go do something physical that helps you to let that out, and really start focusing on those emotions. Really tackle them. It's kind of like you really emerge in it and you allow it to come out. Don't be afraid that those feelings, anger for example, will not stop. There is an end point to this, but you have to allow yourself to actually express all of it. And you know what is behind anger? Sadness. So this is the pattern. You get out of numbness by expressing and experiencing anger, and that way you allow yourself to actually feel sad, to grieve what you've lost, and then you get to rebuild everything now in full capacity of your emotions, and you can use your guiding system, your gut instinct to guide you and show you the way into becoming the person you always wanted to be. I really hope that helped you. If you want to know more about the concept of living an epic life on your terms, remember to watch the webinar. The link is in the description. And if you want to work with me privately and look into the things that are keeping you back from experiencing the life you always wanted, then check out the link on 101 Coaching. Both you find in the description. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how to use your gut instincts to your advantage, then watch my video on the 5 times you should follow your gut instinct and win big. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.